Let's be honest, the weekly close that we just got for Bitcoin is objectively quite bad. In today's video, I want to discuss whether or not it is likely we see some more downside from here, or if we can see a sustained bounce in the market. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. First and foremost, let's talk about that candle. Now, Bitcoin essentially dumped all the way down to approximately 92.9K. Now, this was a pretty pivotal zone because it tends to line up almost perfectly with the yearly open for Bitcoin. Now, I'm not calling for us to just immediately explode to the upside here. However, you can see that the price is indeed slowing down. If we are to get a bounce, in my opinion, it would be from around these regions. Now, on the lower time frames, I have been vocal about trying to catch a swing long targeting above $100,000. I still think that this is more than likely. Bitcoin will find its way back above $100,000. Now, the nature of that pump, we will have to assess what happens on whether or not that means we're going to move much higher, or if it will simply just bring us, for example, up to a critical resistance point like $107,000, and then we get rejected again, or perhaps we have enough fuel to go all the way up to the bull market support band. However, we cannot ignore the facts, and the fact is that was a very ugly weekly close for Bitcoin. The interesting thing that I'd like to bring to your attention is the fact that most of these recent weekly closes, we ended up pumping into the weekly close. This time around, we essentially continue to go down. Now, on the lower time frames, I want to share exactly how I tried to play this. So, right around these levels, we entered a Bitcoin long around 95.7K. Now, we ended up pumping all the way up to 96.6K. However, I held on to this position into the weekly close, anticipating that we would be moving higher out of there. We've seen it time and time again. Before this most recent weekly close, 3 out of 3 times we ended up pumping into the weekly close. And this time around, my trade got invalidated. I lost around 0.6% on my trade. I will always be transparent as to how I'm navigating this market. Now, the thing is, that was just a quick scalp, and I am actively now looking for swing longs in this market. I firmly believe that Bitcoin is about to get a bounce from around this zone. Now, it can take a little bit of time to play out, but this is still currently my base case. We have so much confluence in this area. We, of course, have the yearly open. We have tons of support around $90,000, which you can see managed to hold a support as Bitcoin was trying to make this uptrend before we had that tariff capitulation. And we also have the fact that there is a CME gap right around $91,600. It would shock me if Bitcoin doesn't at least get some kind of bounce around this zone. So what is the play from a trading perspective? And then I'll talk about my spot portfolio. So at this point in time, from a trading perspective, what I would like to see on the one-day time frame is for essentially Bitcoin to continue slowing down this momentum to the downside. Now, a good trigger would be potentially coming back down and going below the yearly open to trigger along after we're able to reclaim it. Once we're on this reclaim, you have tight risk management and you can likely get a strong swing long targeting at the bare minimum $100,000 in my opinion. That is how I will be playing it. Now, if you're not a seasoned trader, you know nothing about risk management, I would typically not recommend this kind of trade setup, and I would wait for better confirmation in the market if you are to go long. That is just my general piece of advice. Of course, this is not financial advice, but you need to understand that a lot of traders that are inexperienced in this market will likely get shaked out right around this region. So what am I looking for here? From a spot positioning, I am still holding most of my spot Bitcoin. I gave you my invalidations for how I'm going to play this. If we start to get multiple weekly closes below $98,000 and below 103K, which is that 50-week simple moving average, it's highly likely that the top is in for this cycle. I'm being brutally honest here. I will be offloading some of my Bitcoin if, come next week, Bitcoin cannot at the bare minimum close back above $98,000. That is my key level. We also have that 50-week simple moving average right below 103K. It would be absolutely beautiful if we can go ahead and reclaim this level. And just to give you a little bit of a reminder as to why this level is so important, it tells us if the uptrend can continue. When we lose the bull market support band, we tend to hold on to the 50-week simple moving average as support. Now you can see here, every single time that we tapped into it this cycle, we managed to hold on to it as support. We even wicked below it a few times on that tariff capitulation, then we came all the way back up for a brand new all-time high. Now, where does this go wrong? Obviously, if we lose the level with multiple weekly closes, we are essentially cooked. Now, this doesn't mean we won't get any kind of relief rally. It's in fact my base case that we will likely rally above $100,000. But it does mean that on a relief rally, I would be offloading a lot of my spot Bitcoin and my spot Ethereum. Now, from a spot positioning, some of you are asking me, why not just dump it now? Well, you can see that when we close below the 50-week simple moving average back in 2021, we ended up forming a wick lower in that following week, and then we ended up making a brand new all-time high. This is why I'm essentially not writing it off. We don't have that much data to go by in Bitcoin's history, so we need to understand that there are some scenarios where this could play out. So at this point in time, I'm still remaining relatively optimistic that we will see a bounce, and if we see further continuation, it would require a weekly close above $98,000 and ideally above that 50-week simple moving average right around $103,000. That is currently looking like an $8,000 rally for Bitcoin. Can we get it? Only time will tell. Now, I am still actively looking for swing longs, as I shared with you. If you want to know exactly how I will be playing this with tight risk management, you have the first link in my description down below. It brings you to my free premium group. If you DM me the word premium, I would be happy to onboard you on there, and you'll get access to my own personal trade setups. Now, to be perfectly clear, my last 4 trades to share with you, and being brutally honest on the channel, 2 of them, I took some profits on the way up, then I moved my stop loss at break even, and I got stopped out at break even. I'm trying to catch this swing long. Then, the past 2 trades, I actually incurred a little bit of a loss. I am here sharing this with you on the channel. I want to be as honest and as transparent as possible. Losses aren't the issue in crypto trading. As long as you have good risk management, it is perfectly fine because my wins far outweigh my losses. And when I win, I tend to win very big. Still actively looking for that swing long in the market. And if you want to know exactly how I'm playing it, remember you do have that first link in the description down below. I also have all of these exchanges. And if you sign up to one of these exchanges, that is how you can get access to my free premium group. I would typically recommend Bluffin, which is the second link, because you can get a 15% trading bonus cashback with up to $3,000 in futures bonuses. So if you enjoy trading the crypto market and you want to know how I am personally navigating it, make sure to sign up. You have that first link in the description down below. Once you're ready, DM me that word premium and I'd be happy to onboard you. Now let's get back to the charts. I also wanted to show you some of my active trades right now because I'm only actually holding 2. We entered an Ondo short, and if you've been watching the channel, I've been holding this trade for quite some time, even since before the liquidation event. Why am I holding this trade? The point is, it's a hedge in the market. I already secured around $10,000 in profit. This was also shared in my premium group, and right now it's currently sitting just under $17,000 in unrealized profit. Happy to hold on to this, and I also still have my Bitcoin dominance long. Now, we talked about how altcoins are actually not looking that bad at this point against Bitcoin, but I still think that there's a little bit more shenanigans to come, and we will likely see Bitcoin dominance soar. That being said, I have secured some profits on this trade, and I will likely end up closing it if I start to see that Bitcoin dominance is going to get more aggressive moves lower. Let's see how it plays out. These are my only 2 active trades in this market at this point in time outside of my spot portfolio. Now, USDT dominance. We haven't spoken about this metric in quite some time. Whenever it pumps, crypto dumps. Whenever it dumps, crypto pumps. As simple as that. Now, we've been holding on to this 4% level for quite some time. Every single time we make it down here on a rally, it makes sense to be cautious. We have essentially never lost this trend line. And so if we ever do end up coming back here on a rally for crypto, it's highly likely that you want to start paying attention right here and offloading some of your positions. Now, at this point in time, we are actually getting a little bit overextended. We can technically go all the way up to 6%, and as soon as we start breaking, for example, these highs around 6.2% on the weekly time frame basis, that's probably when you should start being careful, because if we get a more sustained rally, that would put the nail in the coffin and confirm that bear market. We do not want to see USDT dominance go much higher than where we are today. In an ideal world, if we are to see the market continue here, we do not want to start breaking above 6.2% on USDT dominance. Now, some of you were also asking about Ethereum, so I thought I'd bring up my Ethereum chart. You can see right here that we are trying to hold crucial support, which was essentially set in November of last year. 1 year ago, we were basically at these levels. And so if Ethereum can show a little bit of strength here, we could likely see some significant upside. But remember, Bitcoin determines the rest of the crypto market. I will keep on repeating this until I'm dead and buried. If Bitcoin starts capitulating here, Ethereum essentially has no chance. I just have to be honest. This is why it makes sense to always look at any other cryptocurrency through the lens of Bitcoin. Now, of course, we have some outliers like Zcash at this point in time that we can discuss in a separate video. But for now, collectively, talking about the overall crypto market, we need to see Bitcoin reclaim some key levels if we are to see, for example, Ethereum have any chance to rally higher. At this point in time, Bitcoin is still just sitting right around $95,000. I firmly believe that this is going to be a very strong risk to reward opportunity in terms of a swing long. Now, of course, whenever I enter trades, if they're in some profits, I come on the channel and I show you those given trades. It's hard for me to give you quick updates on YouTube, which is why also, if you want to know exactly how I am playing this in preparation for a potential swing long, you do have that first link in the description down below. But the point is, I still think that we get a bounce here. Whether or not it results in us moving much, much higher, only time will tell. However, this is not the zone where you want to go max short if you are trading this market. We can also see that on the weekly time frame, the stochastic RSI is basically at all-time lows, right around 1.45. And so let's see how it plays out. But at this point in time, I'm relatively optimistic that we will likely get a bounce. Now, you want to wait until we get confirmation and not just pile into a long. That's not how you trade this market. And taking a look at the liquidation heat map, you can see that there is some liquidity still built up to the downside here, people trying to catch this as a strong longing opportunity in the market. Obviously, it was at this point in time. However, it would not surprise me if we start to revisit these levels once more. Now, I also want to discuss on the 30-day time frame, taking a look at this Bitcoin exchange liquidation map, as we normally do in most of my videos. Guys, cumulative short liquidation leverage in the market far outweighs the cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market. Sorry to repeat myself, but it would absolutely shock me if we don't see Bitcoin get at least some kind of relief rally targeting $100,000 and beyond to liquidate a lot of these aggressive late shorters in this market. Now, we also have the fact that this week there are tons of key events which will likely spark a lot of volatility. If we continue to rip higher for the S&P 500, it's highly likely that Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market will catch a bid. Now, today we have the New York Fed manufacturing data. On Wednesday, we have the Fed meetings minutes, NVIDIA's earnings, of course, and then on Thursday, we have the September's job reports, the Philly Fed manufacturing data, October existing home sales data, November services PMI data starting on Friday, along with the November manufacturing PMI data, the MI consumer sentiment data, and to wrap it up, the MI inflation expectations data, with a total of 14 Fed speakers this week. It's going to be a pretty hectic week in my opinion, and we want to see Bitcoin at the bare minimum reclaim $98,000. However, more optimally, reclaiming $103,000. Let's see how the price action develops, but at this point in time, I am not jumping into any swing long positions until I see the confirmation that I need on the Bitcoin chart. And that sums up today's quick video. I'm still holding out here, waiting to see what this next weekly close gives us. If we close below $98,000 and below that 103K 50-week simple moving average, it's highly likely that the market is over and I'm willing to call it quits. I would, however, still be waiting for some kind of relief rally to offload a lot of my spot Bitcoin and Ethereum that I accumulated from much lower levels. I will, of course, keep you updated as this develops. My base case is that we will likely see a bounce from right around this zone. Now, it may take a while to play out, but I would be expecting 90K to be defended quite well. If we lose it and then we see a reclaim of the yearly open, it could be an excellent swing long trigger in this market, targeting above $100,000. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. I have my leverage trading tutorial right here, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.